So I'll do that then. So yeah, if you could screen share and then we could watch one of your VODs or something, specifically Endgame, that would be good.
All right, sounds good. I'm gonna pull it up over here, and then screen share. You want it in 1080 or 60 or 60
Um,
frames? Doesn't
Probably like
matter.
720/60 would be good,
Okay.
just so things are a bit smoother.
All right, cool. So like right here, sorry, we are just bullshitting.
Yeah, that's all good.
I have like one game where I got decent amount of kills, and then the rotation in end game was bad because like I was low on white health,
Mhm.
like, right here.
All right, so we land risky.
Yeah. For this tournament, I was, or for this cash cup.
Mhm. Trying out a new spot, or what did you land before?
Um, I've been pretty experimental for a long time. I haven't found like a dedicated spot, but I'm very comfortable with risky
Mhm.
now, so I'll be landing here going further forward.
Okay. And do you like the middle of the map play style, in the sense of you're
Yeah,
usually trying to think and keep ahead of other players, especially when rotating into zone, right? Because if you get behind, you can kind of get flooded with people rotating into you.
that and the like I get too comfortable with taking early game storm damage, and then like I just end up like spending my whole time fishing, or like this kind of like puts me in a
Bad spot
like
going
where
in
I
mid game.
yeah, because like I end up
Mhm.
spending more time like actually fighting instead of, because like what I was noticing is when I did like outskirts, um like I landed at the top of the map by Craggy to the left of it, like
Okay.
there's like a little island.
Yeah.
Landed there like the beginning of the season,
Uh huh.
and then like 2 weeks later I was landing at the islands by Sweaty Sands,
Uh huh.
and like I would always pick off like like one really bad kid or like whatever, but then like spend the rest of the time trying to find loot that I need, like trying to get a shotgun or get shield to carry,
Right.
fishing and all that stuff. And then by the time I actually got the circle, like I had no mats or et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. So you're kind of struggling with the planning, especially because usually very successful players as well have this mentality in terms of like they're setting their self up for endgame. Do you know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
entire focus of the game is so that they're prepared for endgame, right? So I
Yeah.
could definitely see how if you're struggling in terms of even knowing what your priority is at a moment could also affect your end game going into it. Do you know what I mean?
True. When like one other thing was like when I would when I would land there, if there was nobody,
Uh huh.
by the time I got to circle, I felt like I was I didn't feel like I was cold, but every time I would finally get into a fight, I feel like I had spent like 17 minutes trying to get into zone,
Right.
and then like not fighting anyone. And
Mhm.
once I would get in a fight, I felt like, because I haven't fought anybody in so long, that like I just wasn't even thinking clearly. I wasn't thinking fast enough.
Okay,
Like,
interesting. Like in the sense of you don't feel warmed up or more
yeah,
I
like
guess more in terms of comfortable going into the
I felt
fight.
like I cooled down. Like
Oh.
by the time I got into the zone and situated, I just like scared almost of everybody.
Okay. And okay, sorry. So I know we're watching you off spawn. I feel like with how I'm thinking about pacing the session in my mind, I would prefer to maybe skip to like third or fourth zone if we could do that,
Okay.
just so I can, because I really want to analyze in terms of like your decision makings. You know what I mean? Oh, okay.
Okay. Let me go back just a little bit right here, because
Yeah.
I get like a lot of kills here, but it's whatever. This is like the second game of the Cash Cup, and they were all shitters.
Okay. So then, okay, then I want to
See,
touch on
like
that
the
issue.
zone.
Oh, sorry. Do
Oh,
you mind
like
pausing?
no, not at all.
Okay.
Like that kid, I shouldn't even have been fighting. I feel like,
Yeah. No.
but he had taken shots at me.
Mhm. So you felt like the need. You want to pressure him back. I mean,
Yeah,
pressuring back is good, but you don't want to necessarily like commit too much in a fight in this situation, right? Obviously, your
yeah.
priority is definitely rotating to zone, but hold on. I want to touch a bit about the fact that you, in terms of like the cooling down feeling that you get.
Okay.
So, okay, obviously, like you have what? I mean, like what is this? 5 kills, right? So
Yeah,
are you confident with your fighting?
yeah.
So then, interesting. Okay. So then, what is the necessary the cooling down that you're feeling? Like, do you feel like you aren't as quick to react like you said before, or stuff like that, or is it more of a mental thing? Because
Might
this
have
is
been a
just
mental
generally
block.
speaking. I would say so because if you feel confident with your fighting, do you know what I mean? That means that you generally like would feel comfortable fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you feel like that as well. Which means
This is the
that
first cash cup I've done where I felt comfortable. I feel comfortable now.
right. But if you don't fight anybody the whole game and you have to fight endgame, you don't feel comfortable.
That's how I was like when I was still going through different peripherals and senses and like
Mhm.
in this short break between um Winter Royale and this cash cup,
Mhm.
I I did a lot of grinding and like I got comfortable with where I'm at.
Right.
The last person I reviewed with, which was like just but literally 10 minutes before this,
Mhm.
told me like he noticed in the fights that I was just in like before this, like those 5 kill fights,
Mhm.
that like my sense is too low. Um,
Interesting. Did
he
he include something with that statement? Like what was he basing that off of?
um my ability to like how fast I can like place my builds.
Interesting.
Like I can't I can't do like a like it in order to do a 360 of walls around me, it takes my entire phase mouse pad right there,
Mhm.
which isn't my primary mouse pad. I'm just using it currently because I need to clean the one underneath it.
Okay. But okay. I would say that so obviously in terms of like if you felt like you maybe needed more work on that, I could delve deeper into that. But to be honest, in my opinion and a lot of other pros' opinions, it's mostly like a feeling thing in terms of like, are you comfortable with it? Do you like using it? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's such a
Yeah,
wide variety of obviously senses and etc. Where it's more like if you're having trouble doing the 360 with the current sense you're on, but you feel comfortable with it, you just need to like learn the ability
learn
to
to
build with
play
it.
around that.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And I'll even show you actually. This will tie really well into the person I'm watching, which is Arkham.
Oh, that's funny. I love
Right.
Arkham.
Yeah, so
He's a
do you know what
lower
I mean?
sense
Like
than me.
his exactly,
He's
and he
so
still kind of
slow.
works around that, right? So
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah. I don't want to
I'm
go.
not
I
gonna
wasn't
like.
gonna go up. I wasn't gonna go up. I was gonna wait until we finished our session to
Yeah,
touch
that.
on that.
Obviously, I'm not trying to like say that the other coach is necessarily wrong in a sense. I mean,
No, of
do
course
you know what I
not.
mean? But like, I feel like it's like more of how comfortable you are with the sense and like kind of working around that in the sense of like being used to it and oh okay I know
Hmm.
that if I have the 360 I have to do you know what I mean move my mouse to the left side and go all the way across my mouse pad or something. But okay,
Yeah,
anyways.
exactly. Which is what I've been doing is like learning how to adapt to that.
Yeah.
And by watching Arkham and by watching Landjock and like other players that are low sense as well,
Mhm.
because my EDPI is not even close um to Arkham's. He's a lot lower than myself even.
Right.
I'm 40 EDPI or 400 DPI by 10% in game,
Mhm.
and like Landjock's like 3% higher than me,
Yeah.
and then like Arkham, who's in my opinion even better than. But they're both very good players in
No,
their
but
own
I know
ways.
what you mean though. In terms of in game,
Yeah.
especially in control, Arkham is definitely better for sure.
Yeah. Um, so like that's why, and I also felt that his opinion was somewhat biased because
Mhm.
he himself, that coach, was a high sensor,
Right.
like EDPI of like 120.
Mhm. Which I mean that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so then yeah, I would say that's just like you just have to learn around that. Do you know what I mean? If you,
Yeah.
the most important thing with your sense is feeling like you're comfortable and you have control. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And just
I'm
because you
very
can't
I'm very
necessarily
comfortable in it.
360, right? Just because you can't necessarily 360, like even in the VOD, I'm thinking Arkham will box up. He won't do like a 360 though. Like he'll do like a 180, a 180. It's kind of odd,
Yeah.
but just because of his sense, he does that, right? So,
Mhm.
okay.
And
I
it
don't
works
wanna, I
for
don't wanna
him.
focus too much on that though. We have a lot to
Okay.
talk about, especially about your endgame rotate. So you can continue playing the VOD. I just want
Okay.
to see like how some of your decision making is and your priorities, right? I'll kind of ask you depending on what's happening. I mean, obviously in this example right here, even what I'm watching is you seem to be committing a lot to this fight when it's definitely not your priority, especially with how set up you are, in my opinion, going into endgame. This is an
Yeah.
insane loadout for getting picks and even just getting, I would say like frags in, half out, or endgame, right?
Mhm.
So like you said, you kind of, the reason you
I
played
committed to
aggressively
this
like
way too
this,
hard. Yeah, I
yeah,
W keyed.
was because he shot you, and then you wanted to like you felt the need to like pressure him back, kind of thing.
Well, and because my other thought process going into this is that it's the second game,
Uh huh. So the players are
low
bad.
point game, so I wanted to W key everything,
Okay.
every every opportunity because I knew like not new, but like in my head is like, all right, this is the second game. It's a low point lobby.
Yeah.
Like I'm better than all these kids. Let's push everything we get.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, I can see the logic is coming for sure. It's just in terms of like I said, like your priority. Is it? Do you know what I mean? You want to get to zone to make sure that you don't die. Which, if you didn't get
Yeah.
this kid's bandages, you actually might here, or you're gonna get out of zone really low. In the sense of like
Yeah.
you're throwing away your game for the one kill that you can potentially get. Do you know what I mean? Like you
A
could have
hundred,
tagged
a
that
hundred
guy,
percent.
right? Gotten the tags and then move into zone,
And
secure
then
your
pressured him from
position.
in zone.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Okay.
you always and your priority obviously it
So like right here,
changes.
there's multiple occasions I almost die. You're 100% right.
Okay.
Like I get so lucky that I even make it out of this because another kid ends up pushing me right here,
Right.
and it's like right as the zone starts moving.
Mhm.
Like I found a med kit, and I forget if I finished the med kit or not, but like another kid pushes me,
Right.
and then I start to make my way out, I think, and then I see the kid coming up behind me, and I didn't even need to fight him. Like I could have easily disengaged,
Mhm.
went to zone right here, but I heard the footsteps, and again the W key like
Mentality.
mentality.
Yeah.
Because this kid wasn't bad. I got very lucky. I was trying to take that wall before he placed it.
Right.
I'm also colorblind. It's very hard for me to see in the storm, and I took way so many storm fights.
Uh huh. Does any colorblind settings really help with that, or not really?
I've tried. It did last season. This season, I haven't been able to find one. I just maybe need to still experiment with it. But I
Interesting.
feel
Yeah.
like the more I experiment with it, the less. Um,
Used to the
I
colors
haven't
you'll get.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So like what I've been with for the longest time is Protanope on 2,
Uh huh.
and it's helped the most. But it only helps me see while I'm in storm.
Right.
When I'm out of storm, looking in storm, it's very hard to see.
Okay.
Like I should be moving forward.
Right,
And
but the problem is, or not necessarily the problem, but the thing that you'll be noticing is that it will cascade in the sense of when you get behind, it's very hard to get ahead. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah.
it's like when you get behind more, like okay, so coming out of zone, you were behind, right? But you could have
Mhm.
after you pop the medkit rotate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to a point. Obviously, the player was
And
behind you, and you'd have
it
to
wouldn't
use
even
mats
have
to protect
touched me at
yourself.
that point.
Well, yeah,
Well,
exactly, right?
I could have built the like look down and build the ramp over my head for that rotate
Mhm.
if that kid was actually trying to pressure me that hard.
Yeah, no,
But I
definitely.
like looking because I watched so like the reason why like I don't mean to like cut you off or like finish your sentence for you.
Yeah, it's fine.
I watched this back last night myself.
Mhm.
So like I am just like um I guess like re-insinuating the or like reassessing the issues I saw myself. This from here forward is where like I definitely like had no clue what I was doing. Like I should
Yeah.
have made way better decision making from this point forward.
Mhm.
There's the person across the river on the mountain with his edit open, like
Yeah.
right when I swam in,
Mhm.
and like that was making me freeze and like choke up the whole time.
Right.
I don't even have auto open doors on. I was like, what the fuck did I just open that door? I was like scared to go anywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm seeing from. But you're also limiting the information that you get, so you feel like everybody's watching you, even though everybody rotated. Like there's
yeah,
probably nobody here. Okay, I mean that kid's there. That's definitely
that's the
cashed out
one I
player,
was.
right? But
That's the one I was scared of because like I was trying to keep an eye on him the
mhm.
best I could, and at the same time I was like, all right, I want to use these old builds to rotate. And like right here, I should have gone towards the bus. As soon as I saw that edit flash to the left, I like came over here for an impact kill to refill my white health. But
Interesting.
in my opinion, I should have just like cut through that bus stop and tree foliage
Yeah.
and just moved to zone.
Mhm.
And I just instantly died to the zone right here.
Okay, interesting. So yeah, this is definitely to me so okay, interesting. So I noticed a couple things. Obviously your priority is very off. Do you know what I mean? Like you should always be
Yeah.
focusing on your position as well as your priority is to set yourself up well for endgame, right? Obviously getting kills is good. However, even in that situation, you can still get a lot of kills by not
Yeah.
necessarily like pushing people in zone. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't have to fight the players in zone, especially when you have 5 coming out of your POI or
Mhm.
even
That's
4,
that's one
right?
thing I
Like
looked at last night. It was like I had 5 kills before even leaving risky. If I played good position for endgame, like
especially
if I
with your
played with better
guns.
priority, yeah,
Mhm.
and full almost full gold loadout
Yeah.
going into endgame, I could have easily gotten another 5 in endgame and possibly won the game if I played it with better, like you said, priority
Mhm.
towards like putting myself there.
Yeah, definitely. And even kind of your, I can kind of see what you mean by your decision making as well. Wasn't necessarily the best. I mean, when you're in situations like that, like let's say you got storm pushed, do you know what I mean? To a point you couldn't necessarily control it. Obviously, depending on your rotate and stuff like that, you can almost always control situations like that. But if, do you know what I mean? If somebody decides to W key you, like, there's not necessarily too much that he can do except shit on them to make them stop that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
let's say in that situation you get W keyed, right? You couldn't control it. You're coming out of zone. Let's say it was you who was at the river after you got W keyed, like you got W keyed, right? When you were trying to
Hmm.
rotate, and you saw the person with the edit open, right? So okay, in that situation you're in a really bad situation, obviously, or sorry, in that spot you're in a really bad situation, but
Yeah.
you still also didn't necessarily give yourself enough information to even make a good decision. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like because you were
Yeah,
kind
definitely.
of confused on where you're looking at and even building with brick, like in that situation you should hop in your cone. Like you should box up, okay, I want to look around, right? Wait till my cone is
Give
completed.
yourself
Okay, I'm
a
going to
better
hop in my
view.
cone, right? And then you cuz cones give you the most information. Do you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you can see everything. It's like you're not even in a build, right?
Yeah, I was like boxed up, couldn't see through the walls. You
Mhm.
can't like see through the edit. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And because of that, because you didn't have information, you felt very scared. Like
Yeah.
you had the right thinking in terms of like I need to watch out for people looking to pressure me here, but because you had no information, you felt like the whole lobby was watching you. When in reality, it was that one kid at the edit. The initial kid who edited when you got into zone, right? So you could build protected for that kid like just by himself, but you don't necessarily have to. Like you were even tunneling into zone a bit because you were kind of like, okay, what do I do in this situation? Do you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I don't
That's
have the
exactly what it was.
information, right?
Yeah.
You feel kind of scared. Like you saw a lot of people on the hill when you came in, but then you don't necessarily know like where they are,
Yeah, they
stuff
were
like that.
probably rotating to zone themselves.
Yeah. So then, okay, so then this is gonna be very good then. Okay. So I've got the perfect VOD here. You can stop screen sharing and I'll open it up.
Okay.
Um, so I'm gonna focus on a
Uh,
lot of the principles that Arkham is thinking about. Do you know what I mean? While he's playing, like in terms of
okay.
his mat conservation, his
Yeah,
priorities, right?
put me in his brain because
Yeah,
like I try to VOD review a lot of pros, but it's like they do it so naturally, like
it's
you
hard
can't.
because you don't have the experience to think about it,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
exactly. I didn't get into competitive until very, very recently. I'm
Mhm.
talking season 8 is when I got my PC, and I did trios, but like very I didn't take it very seriously.
Right.
I had a console kid on my team that was like a stoner and
Okay.
like always baked, like so like it was more for like the content for the stream
Mhm.
than it was for me like actually like, oh my god, I need this money, yo. Like
Right. Or like even the
mm,
competitive nature of it too, because
yeah, yeah.
right, like you know what I
I
mean though.
was
Like, especially if you're playing baked, like your reaction time, like even me, like when I get baked,
I
like bro, I
smoked back
can't
then
plan for
too.
shit.
Yeah, I smoked back then too. This
Yeah.
like literally not until this season did I stop smoking weed
Mhm.
for like um like right now I only smoke weed off season, which means like there's not a cash cup or anything for 2 weeks.
Right. Okay.
Like like this little break in between Winter Royale and now,
Mhm.
like I smoked like one Stizzy pod, and it
Yeah.
was like literally the day after Winter Royale until like last week.
Okay. Interesting.
So like I stopped smoking weed literally the day season uh 11 started.
Mhm.
I quit except for the fucking black hole bullshit. Fuck that. I was like, I'm not gonna sit through this sober.
Yeah, it was super boring.
And then as soon as the black hole went away, I freaking gave away the rest of what I had to the homies and stuff, and
Mhm.
um, didn't touch it um, until just last week or whatever. Until
Right.
yeah, it was like over a week ago now.
Okay. And is that like in terms of um just smoking like all the time? Did you mean like a continuous, or is it just like at night or something? And did you feel like it affected your performance? Is that kind of why you
I
stopped doing
felt
it?
like it affected my speed
Mhm.
reaction time wise
Yeah.
and my like like when I smoked, like if I had just like woken up, just started playing,
Yeah.
an hour into playing, I took a dab and continued to play. It didn't really affect me. It
Mhm.
wasn't until like towards the end of the day and I had been smoking all day
Right.
that like it I felt that it affected me.
Yeah, like it's like compounding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it so like and then this season without it, I've improved like I've improved great, like exponential, like um or not exponential, like just I guess in the shortest amount of time
Mhm.
I've improved the most.
Yeah, okay, compared to like when you're
Now
high
my
all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that makes sense for sure.
Just because there's more motivation for it, more
Mhm.
like um I guess I like my attitude and outlook towards wanting to improve
Right.
got like more intense because
Yeah.
like when I was baked all the time, like I just to be real, like I just didn't care.
Yeah,
Like
no
I
no,
was
for
just like,
sure.
whatever, I just got shit on.
Mhm.
Like when I'm not stoned like every day, playing every day stoned, like
Mhm.
I get shit on, I'm like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with me right now? I need to go like work on this aspect and work on doing this, and like because of that attitude I've improved.
Right. So like you're more critical of yourself and also realizing
Yeah.
your own gameplay as well as even like personally, like when I play high, I find it very hard to keep track of things. Do you know what I mean? Like focus,
Yeah.
and that could even in
100%.
terms of affect your improving. Because if you're focusing on doing one thing and wanting to improve your gameplay, do you know what I mean? Like you're pretty much focusing on doing two things at once. Your game that you're playing as well as the thing you need to improve at, right? So that could be
Yeah.
a lot harder. I could definitely see that for sure. Okay. So sorry, does the screen look good?
Yeah.
Okay.
If if you don't mind full screening.
Oh yeah, no, I will.
Okay, okay.
I'm just gonna make sure. Hold on. Last time I did this, I had the fucking Discord covering it. Talked with a student for like an hour and a half. Look at the VOD. It's just like literally me doing this, and you can see like the tiny little screen. And I was like, dude, okay. All right, so okay. I want to go back a bit. Where was it? Just so you can kind of see how he got into the situation. Do you know what I mean? Like what he's kind of
Yeah.
thinking. So okay, he was boxed up here. That's what it was. So So his box up here kind of getting fought. He's kind of getting W keyed, so he's kind of expanding out
That's
from his
lit.
box, right?
Fighting outside zone.
Yeah.
He's looking around. You can see how he looks out to kind of gain that information that one of the players left, but he's still playing very defensive. He doesn't want to like
You want to stay here?
be aggro and
Or do
put
you wanna
himself in a
choose
bad spot, especially when he doesn't have shield, right? He only has white health.
And only,
Like
only
obviously
50.
I'm not Arkham, so I'm not necessarily like knowing exactly what he's thinking. However, I feel like, do you know what I mean? Like at least me personally, I have a lot of confidence in my decision making. Not my decision making, in terms of analyzing why someone's doing something. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've watched hundreds of hours of VODs, right? At the beginning, I was like you in the sense of like, you can kind of grasp small things, but you feel like you want the answer of like, why did he do it specifically? Do you know what I mean? I want his like
100%.
yes or no,
Like,
right? That's very hard, especially when VOD reviewing someone else if you don't have them there, right?
yeah.
Um, you kind of need to use, I would say, like kind of deductive reasoning in the sense of like, if you think about it, like the two things that I always think about are why did a pro do this, and what does he gain from doing it? If you
Okay.
think about those
I'm
two
gonna write that
things,
down.
right? Yeah, like those are like that's like the basic because when you're watching gameplay that's this refined, this late into the game, everything has a purpose. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a
Yeah.
reason Arkham does every single thing in the game, right? It's not just like you'll be able to tell if something's lucky in the sense of like, oh, loot fell from the sky. Do you know what I mean? Like that's luck, obviously, right? But anything in his own gameplay that he can control is lucky, right? So okay, even the example. So obviously, right, like I said before, you're looking to set yourself up good for endgame, right? He notices his mats were low. He's looking to farm some of his metal back, which he can do right here, right? This is kind of a sketchy situation because you have to watch who's rotating behind you, right? And you can see he's being very aware while doing this. He's looking around a bunch, even on top of the hill, right? Is somebody on top of the hill? Is somebody down the hill? You'll see him look to the left, and then he looks again at the other side of the hill. Is there anybody, you know what I mean, that I have to worry about rotating while I'm farming, right? This is this like gaining info that you need to work on developing. You'll even see it how he just looks around a lot. That's just to know like, okay, are there people around me? Do you know what I mean? Because then he's gonna change his decision based on that fact, right? And this seems like kind of obvious at the beginning, but you'd be surprised how much obvious things that obviously like pros are gonna do, like even how he's looking back, right? He wants to see if anybody's rotating behind him, because that would influence the way that he plays this. In terms of his rotate.
The way you put it earlier, even like when I was stuck in that situation with the dude with his edit open, it's like put yourself in a position to get more info.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I need to do that. I need to do that a lot more.
And like okay, obviously to a point positioning, like in terms of you can get a lot more info if you're on top of a hill versus the bottom of it, right? So those are kind of things to think about. But even your builds, do you know what I mean? Like you can change the way you sit in your builds and look around your builds to gain more information, right? And you'll see Arkham do some of that thing as well, or some of those things as well. So obviously he realized the person was coming up the zip line, right? That's why I decided to play like that. I want you to just watch the fight and then I'll go over it after. But I'm sure you even noticed a couple of things that he's doing that are very good. Right, so okay, that was obviously a very quick fight, right? But
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that happen. So right there,
So how did the player die?
he got third party from the person on top of the hill.
Okay.
And so once Arkham, so he's playing like he doesn't know the person's there right now, right? He's kind of ramping over, really exposed. Then he starts getting shot at, right? So you can see he's pressuring. He takes the cone and builds above him as well, right? To protect himself because he realized, hey, I'm getting third partied. I don't want to die in this fight, especially at 150 HP, right? He's got no blue heals. He needs to keep himself safe.
Yeah. One AUG shot and he loses all his shield.
Exactly. And then he has a really high chance of losing the fight, especially, right? He's definitely playing pretty aggressive to this person. Like, obviously, he's looking to probably take the wall and finish early, especially because he knows he has the advantage from the 100 pump earlier. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's looking to keep that advantage, right? He also positioned himself with the player in between him in the sense of, like, he's getting pinched. Do you know what I mean? The player on top of the hill is going to third party, and you're going to see this as well, is going to third party him while Arkham's pressuring, and so he puts the other player in a really bad spot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when he took the builds right here, going back like, it goes back like 10 seconds or 5 seconds, I guess. Right, but you can see, so he'll build protected right after he goes to the side, right? Right there
Yeah.
to keep himself
Box.
protected from the
He gave
person.
himself a whole box.
Mm-hmm. And that was like
He
very
didn't even
quick,
do it.
right?
And he didn't even do a 360. Like
Yeah.
he didn't need that back wall. He knows no one's on his backside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. That makes me feel more like comfortable about not wanting to switch my sense because I've been on it for.
No,
It's the
definitely.
first,
I think
it's the first sense I've
that's.
felt comfortable on and stayed on for a long time.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's
Oh,
good.
cool, he
Like
dropped his
that's
sniper.
what you want. Do you know what I mean? I'm assuming he dropped the sniper because he felt like the chance of him getting impact frags was so like this is his priorities, right? He obviously wanted the shield. He got the minis. It would have been good if he got the 50 shield for killing the person as well, right?
Yeah.
Would have put him in a really good spot. But he was like, okay, in this situation, am I really even going to necessarily be able to get the loot from the snipes that I hit? Especially with the
Yeah.
mountainy area, you can have like lots of vertical up and down, right? So
Mhm.
he definitely prioritized the floppers here. Dropped the sniper for the minis. He was like, I want 6 floppers. I mean, especially with
Definitely a
this
smart
loadout,
decision.
yeah, like in endgame especially, you have a lot of freedom and flexibility, even if you get low on mats because of your floppers, right?
Dude, my hands.
So again, he's gaining a lot of info while rotating, right? He looked up, he looked behind him, just to make sure. He just wanted to know where players were, right?
Even all the way on beach side,
Mm-hmm.
which is usually pretty empty.
Yeah, no, he just wanted to make sure, right? Like, even though, yeah, you
Yeah.
could assume that there's nobody there. And he'll assume later because his priority isn't down there, right? But you'll see that when we get to that, right?
I like that he marks the zone. I need to mark zone more. I only do it like
Dude, my
on the far zones
hands.
where it's less necessary.
Right.
Bro,
Yeah, no, you can definitely start doing that as a habit. I mean, again, like, that's definitely a personal preference thing.
He
I
does
just
it.
want to...
He does it like religiously. I like seeing it on the compass.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely helps.
No, and you can also tell how as soon as zone pops up, he's looking for it, right? He's looking to plan his rotate already. And then this is where he's gaining info, right? He's looking up in his cone, see how he's blocked, he edits it so he can see, right? That's what I meant by in terms of like using your box better to be able to gain more info.
Yeah.
He's kind of looking at where people are going. And then, okay, so do you notice how he's not
Ooh, that guy's
looking
almost
behind them,
psycho.
right?
Yeah.
Because when you're rotating, you have to worry more about probably the people ahead of you looking to potentially hold you. Do you know what I mean? Especially when
Yeah.
you're midway
way.
up a mountain, there's probably not going to be people like ramping up. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it
Mhm.
could be good to check just once before you go, but Arkham obviously didn't feel the need to do that, right? So I also wanted to highlight the way that he built the box. So do you see his mouse pad? Like,
Dude,
watch
my
his mouse cam here.
hands.
This is what I meant by
Okay.
like positioning your
Bro,
mouse. Like you're just learning your sense. It's like you're learning how to use it properly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, what?
He moved his mouse on the one side and then like, do you know what I mean? Like he knew that he was
He
gonna
looked
360,
straight.
right?
He looked straight down. I need
Mhm.
to pay like yeah, I definitely need to pay. He looked straight down and just did a 360
Yeah,
like on low but it
Oh
like
my.
used way less of his mouse pad.
exactly. Because he's looking down as well. You can do the same
Yeah.
thing looking up. Um, Obviously it'll place like 2 layers of
Wha-
walls. You know what I mean? Like you'll play like wall, but like yeah, looking down.
Situationally, you'll want to do that sometimes.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
for sure. That's definitely a good. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah.
I would have never noticed like that's why he was looking down for that. I thought he was looking down for that to place the cone like
Mhm.
below him, even though he doesn't do it until just now.
Yeah, no, it's
Like
definitely subtle, right? And that's like, even I myself do that, and I'm not even low as Arkham. But like, do you know what I mean? Like being able to look up and straight down when building can save you a lot of mouse space, and just be more comfortable in
That guy's
general when you're
almost
building,
psycho.
yeah,
right?
because his mouse pad is the same size as the one I'm using right now, the phase
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
But like even when I like that's one thing I noticed that I get too comfortable with having my entire desk space as a mouse. 'Cause
Yeah, for sure.
I used to use a wireless mouse.
Mhm.
I'm also new to mouse and keyboard, 6 months.
Okay. So you're still kind of developing some things. Okay,
Um,
so, sorry,
I'm
go ahead.
pretty comfortable now, but like noticing like I need to pay attention and notice more things that are like subtle, like you said,
Right.
like little tips that like people that have been playing on for years or even because obviously this is a new game, like
Mhm.
this kind of building stuff like is not like anything anybody's ever experienced before, but like
Yeah, no,
something
for sure.
as little as that like I would have never picked up on.
Mhm. And that's because his gameplay is so refined. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like obviously I'm highlighting all of the aspects of his gameplay because like I could so like because I've obviously like gained the experience and like watched his VODs before in the past and do you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Mm.
But it's still like you can just see how everything he does is very intentional. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's like the
well thought out.
right. Like that's like the published, not published. The I lost the word. I can't think of the word anyways. But okay. So
Well
I want to
polished.
focus. Yeah, polished gameplay. That's what it was. I don't know why I forgot that. But I want to focus a bit on his rotate too, because
Okay.
this is where Arkham shines the most, right? Like obviously he's still very mechanical and he's very smart with his rotate, right? But so he identifies based on the hill that he needs to go down, right? There'd be way too much people, and he's not gonna 50-50 the zip line. Like how that other
Wait,
player
Yeah.
that
got
was so
across was
far
very
away.
lucky, right?
Well, even then he ends up dying.
Oh, the other player on the zip
Should've
line?
taken the zip line.
Yeah, the player on the zip line ends up getting off the yeah, he could have died a lot sooner, but he does make it all the way across the zip line just to
Oh.
get one pumped and then third partied.
Oh, okay, that's
Nice.
true, yeah. I didn't notice that. But also, do you notice how he's looking around a lot? Right?
Yeah.
Even behind him to a point. He does want to know, like, obviously your general focus will be ahead of you, but the reason he's putting so much effort into looking behind is because there's nothing ahead of him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just a mountain, right? His line of
Yeah,
sight,
he's
he
got a
even
lot of
looks up the
coverage.
mountain. Exactly, right? Like, look at the amount of people that can see him. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a
Like
specific
one,
angle.
two people maybe, and they'd have
Mm-hmm.
to be looking straight down.
Exactly, like sitting on top of their floor looking down when it'd make a lot more sense for those players to look for those people, right?
Yeah,
Instead of looking
exactly.
straight down. So that's why he watches those. Even he notices the kid behind him as well. He pickaxes. I guess it's good that this is becoming more common in terms of pickaxing because to a point, like, if that person shot
Hope
him,
that guy's insanity.
like, there's no
That's
reason that
fine.
Arkham wouldn't grief him, except I know that Arkham wouldn't, because he values
Yeah.
his position more. Do you know what I mean? It'll be very
Yeah.
prevalent really soon. Like, you'll see it and you'll be like, wow, he values his position that much. Do you know what I mean?
And it went, and yeah, and I should definitely take take notes on that because
Mm-hmm.
like he he's trying to like there's still 30 people left. There's still 30 people left alive, even though he probably knows he could easily kill that guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like why?
Oh, no, it's not that guy. It's this guy.
Oh, okay.
Watch
okay.
this.
You're white.
Oh, what the?
Oh, you
and
gotta
he
come
still
up, you gotta
disengages.
come up.
Still values he values his positioning that much. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, he
Yeah.
knows the player has to come up, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like 9 out of 10 pros would still W key that due to the fact
Yeah,
that it was kind of
definitely.
below a hill, right? Like you can
And
see
and
how it's
got
kind of hidden.
64 tagged white health. Like,
Exactly, right? But that's how much he values
You're
his
white.
positioning. Do you know
Oh,
what I
you
mean?
gotta come up. You
that's
gotta come
insane.
up.
And that's one of the reasons he's so
Shit, got no
successful.
shield.
Like, okay, maybe in a cash cup you can W key quick because like the player's probably bad. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you're white
Mhm.
health this late into the game, like you're probably shambles. Something happened before. Do you know what I mean? But like in a
Mhm.
LAN, you wouldn't necessarily want to do that because you can throw your game away that quickly. Especially if there's probably more than 30 people. I'm assuming there's probably gonna be like 55, like a DreamHack Anaheim. There's probably gonna be like
Yeah.
55 people first zone, right? Or sorry, this zone.
Yeah.
So
Like the going into half and half.
yeah, exactly.
No way.
I mean, even then, he got a 64-32. That player is like
He's
4
one.
HP, right?
I need that kill
Yeah.
so bad.
This is the only thing I've had people ask me. The only reason he doesn't pop his minis, and I'm gonna tell you, it's because he didn't realize he had some. Like later on in the VOD, he'll recognize that, and he'll be like, "Oh, I had minis." That's just a misplay from him, right? Like it'd be good to pop one mini here and maybe look for a kill, especially half in, half out. But hold on, I want to talk a bit about the rotate too, right?
Wait.
So okay, he's looking for the punishes here. The aggro is pretty aggressive that he's peeking. You
Need
could put a
that
wall in
kill
front of
so
him,
bad.
but not that much people can see him from his position anyways, right?
I see what you mean though. Like place that wall, that floating wall.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, just to cover himself a bit better, right? But
Yeah.
I digress. He obviously didn't plan on peeking it that long, or else he would have placed the wall, right? He knew that zone
Yeah.
was coming in, and you can tell his priority. He's looking around to gain information, like I said, using the cone. You can see how useful the cone is,
Yeah.
even at
He's
looking for things on your
he's
same level.
always in a cone from what I've watched.
Mm-hmm.
If he's in a box, he's in a cone. He's
Yeah.
never just sitting in a box. Like very seldomly does he like do a wall flash like
Mhm.
to make the metal like more see-throughable.
Yeah.
But like literally 99% of the time I see him, he's in a cone if
Ye-
he's in a box.
Exactly. And that's also because especially Arkham is very land driven. Do you know what I mean? He's very competitive driven. He thinks about how he can get punished all the time for doing things, right? When you
Yeah.
flash a wall, and even if you hold it, if somebody like bursts it, you could get punished for that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or even, especially in lands where everybody's looking to potentially get kills or something, right? If you flash your wall, you get, let's say, shot, shield gets broken, you're gonna get focused. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
Because
the
other
reason he
players
doesn't
can
edit
see
walls, right, and it is also so people don't know he's there. But like, who's gonna spray a full metal wall? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody, especially at land where resources are even more limited, right?
Yeah.
So you can definitely tell that from his play, but he still succeeds in cash cups due to his play. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously he's good at
Mhm.
fighting, and this game he only has one kill. Some games he's W keys. He's like, okay, my intent is to go in and W key, and I say him W key. Do you know what I mean? But like when he
Mhm.
plays like this is really Arkham playing. Like, okay, so we're gonna see the half in half out rotate. All right. Obviously he's in his cone. He heard the shots. He's also gonna base his decision off of those shots because the people around him are distracted. Right? He sees zone. He instantly looks for it. He goes early because he know that he can. He's in a very good spot to do so, right? Obviously, there's the player in the other box, but that's why he places some walls behind him. He knew that those players were fighting beside him, so he didn't really have to worry about that as much as well, right? And he's just
Yeah.
focusing on his position here. That's his priority, right? That's actually Arkham's priority 99% of the time, his position. That's the thing that he
Can,
definitely values the most, and you can tell based off of his gameplay.
yeah.
So now obviously
Definitely.
he's looking for kills, because he doesn't have to worry about his rotate anymore, right?
Yeah.
You'll
That's so.
see. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just like, like it's crazy like how much of him I've watched, but not paid attention. Like not. It's not that I haven't paid attention, but like how I never saw it as like him valuing his position. Like
Mhm.
I just saw it as like, oh yeah, he's just a smart player. Like,
Yeah. No,
but like
it'll definitely
it's
come across like that if you don't think like a ton
yeah, I
about
need to
what he's
think.
doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's I don't break it down. Like break it. Like that's why I wrote down the why does a pro do this?
Mhm.
What does he gain? Because I'm gonna definitely watch like 2 to 3 more hours now tonight of other like him as well, but like also other people
Yeah.
and like break it down into more depth.
Mhm. And it might
It's,
be, especially when you're first starting out, you don't have as much experiences. I'm just gonna pause this because it's also something I want to highlight in his game. But it'll be a bit harder at the beginning. Don't get me wrong. If you think about those questions, you will begin to develop that though. Do you know what I mean? And it'll be
yeah,
an over time thing. Maybe you even think about it in your own gameplay, just in general, this idea of like advantage. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a
yeah,
reason that pros
exactly.
do something, it's to give themselves an advantage. That's the entire almost premise of this game, right? In terms of like you're either getting punished or you have an advantage. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
If you really
100%.
break it down. So
As a battle royale, 100%.
yeah. So okay, I also want to go back here because again, it seems very subtle what he's doing, right? Obviously, he got to zone, he's looking for punishes, but do you see how he also focuses a lot of the players around him the most? And that's
So they don't.
because this is the loot that he can get.
Oh, okay.
If he kills somebody edge of zone, sure, that's good, you get a point, but if you're really looking to
You're not
set
gonna.
yourself up for endgame, right, which
Yeah,
is, it's like
not
his
gonna
first position, I guess his
travel all the way
first
across to get their
idea.
stuff.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, my bad.
No, it's fine.
I was reiterating to myself, like yeah, if he gets a pick across like edge zone,
Mhm.
like yeah, he got the point, but like he's not gonna travel all the way across, go get their stuff, and go back to his position.
Yeah, exactly. And
Like, so
and
what does that
that's
point or kill do for you? Like if
right.
like afterwards, now you're out of AR ammo
Mhm.
and you don't even have a secondary anymore, and now you have to fight somebody that's pushing into your box.
Exactly. And that's
Granted,
much more prevalent in
granted
land
he
too.
does have 200 in this situation, but
Yeah.
like in a different situation, like you might be a little bit lower on ammo, and like yeah, you spent 2 clips and you got the kill,
Mhm.
but now you know get your refill.
Exactly. And let's say theoretically that could trace back to you. Like let's say you pump someone, he's really low, one AR shot, you're out of ammo. Oh shit. You know what I mean? Like you just died at land
Yeah,
because of that, right? That's like, and this is so in terms of his priorities, right? Obviously positioning is very high for Arkham. It's second though. First is setting himself up for endgame. Because, do you know what I mean? If you have good positioning, you're setting yourself up for endgame, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's like everything is to set himself up for endgame and win the game, right? And so he does everything in his power to be able to do that. Positioning is the second of that, but the third as well is also his mats and his mat conservation. Even when he did that box, when he looked at the ground and spun around, you notice how he didn't place a cone or floor to save
Yeah.
2 mats. Like that sounds really, do you know what I mean? Like min-max. Like even now, when he boxed up here, it was just floor, walls. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Only
And he
later,
connect.
when there was a player near him, did he put the cone.
He built up to the box with one ramp,
Uh huh.
and I was like, oh, that's dumb. But then I saw, oh, wait, he just connected to the other. He just connected to the other guys one by one.
Right.
And even the ramp, like it's not a fully visible ramp. Half
Mhm.
of it's built into the mountain. Like for someone to want to shoot him out, like it's just redundant. Nobody's gonna do that.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when people rotate to him and connect to him naturally
Yeah,
because he's early in zone. You know what I mean?
yeah. Because now he's held up by the dude above him and his metal
Mhm.
and like two other tarps now. Cause or not tarps, but
Bases.
uh, yeah, exactly.
Right. Yep. For sure. And so yeah, like I said, like obviously his priority is to set himself up for the best for endgame, and that's why he's looking aggressively. Like he could probably get kills here if he looks edge of zone. Maybe. Like obviously it's not a guarantee, but he's not giving himself the chance to, which shows how much he values getting the kills around him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's why he's like very aggressively looking for these. Obviously he keeps himself protected as well, right? That just shows how safe he wants to be. He doesn't want to put himself in a bad spot by putting those walls there. And then this is where the player's there, so he puts a cone, right? If that player takes the floor, he's not going to be able to insta-edit on him. He has to take the cone too. Especially when you're shooting like this. He's got an AUG, so it's not as bad with 3-round bursts. But do you hear the player shooting ARs? That's all you
yeah,
hear. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're shooting an AR, it's really bad for game audio. Like you can't hear really anything else around you. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But again, that's very subtle. But that can mean the difference between life and death, especially in a LAN setting. You know what I mean? Like at World Cup, I don't know if his gameplay was necessarily this refined, but that wouldn't matter if you were at World Cup. You know what I mean? So okay, he's looking for the kills around him. Didn't really get any here. That's fine. He still has really good mats going into this. Do you know what I mean?
mhm,
Like having 2, 1.5, and 5 is really good, right?
yeah,
This was interesting. He definitely went based off of the audio. Actually, if you look at the bottom left, this is very subtle. He hears the people fighting, and he sees one of them got shotgunned. So
Oh.
he's like, the only reason he doesn't rotate here, right? And you have to think about this. If you didn't notice that, you'd be kind of confused in the sense of like, why didn't he rotate early? He always does. If you look at his other
Yeah.
VODs, he'll rotate early. It's because he wanted to potentially get the loot. Because he
Oh, wait, I
saw
have
the
minis.
fact
I just
that,
realized I literally have minis.
right, this is where he realized
Oh,
he had
he doesn't
minis.
drink his he didn't drink his minis until he saw those ones in
Mhm.
there. That's wild.
And you can tell that he values the AUG over the P90, right? But okay,
Yeah.
so now we're gonna see his rotate. Like the only reason he rotated late there was because he thought he could get something from that kill. And I guess he did because he realized he got minis, but you'll notice a lot of things that he's doing, and I'll kind of go back after I watch this, but like I'm sure even you notice a lot of things that he's doing, especially right now rotating to keep himself safe and whatnot. Okay, build's protected to it and is safe. Okay, let's go back.
Minis. I just realized I literally
So
have
there was
minis.
obviously a lot that happened here, especially in terms of how he's rotating, right? He's utilizing the stair a lot, which if you're not using, you definitely want to get used to because you can see how good it is here. He's saving a lot of mats. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that one ramp he placed above him was good
Mm-hmm.
too. Like, it looked like if I watched this before hearing that, I would have been like, that was a waste. One mat, that was a waste. But it wasn't. It was because there's still people above him
Mm-hmm.
looking down and trying to rotate and get free picks.
Yeah, for sure. And even
Actually,
how he... Sorry, go ahead.
Wait, no, never mind. It's just a similar zone. I thought I've actually reviewed this one myself, but
Okay.
It's not. It
Okay.
just looks like the same game.
Alright, so then, okay, so obviously the implementation of stairs are really good, right? That's because in solo, so Arkham is very good at tunneling in team situations and solo, right? I don't know if you've watched any of his squad VODs, but he was always the one tunneling, and he's very
That's actually how
protected
I
while
found
doing it.
out about him.
Right.
Was through squad vods.
Mm-hmm. And so he also got some extra wood because of that, because he went back for that loot. I didn't really realize that. It wasn't much, but still. So you can tell he's using a lot of ramps to kind of cover behind him. It's because when you're in that situation, you have to think in solos, right? The only reason that you should build is to protect yourself at that moment. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you don't have to worry about any else behind you, right? And what does that really good? Putting stairs behind you. Especially when you're closer to the stair, you're covered so much. It's almost like, to a point, it's an exaggeration. Like, obviously, if you think about, like, the line of sights, it's not, like, full 180 coverage behind you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you'll begin to kind of see the edge of
Yeah.
the model and stuff, but that's really nitpicky. Like, if you put a ramp behind you and you're really close to it, like he is when he's placing them, right? Like
Yeah.
this?
The angle. Yeah. Like the angle that somebody would have to get to, they'd have to be super close.
Right. Or even be
To,
directly to the left of you. And then you'd
yeah.
place walls on the side. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like he's covering entirely behind him. That's why he's using so much ramps. He's saving a lot of mats. Like, it seems like he's using mats, but he's actually saving a lot. Because
Yeah.
players who aren't
He's not.
necessarily aware, even this connect here, you see how he places the floor and the wall to
And
the
the wall.
side to give himself so
Mhm.
much coverage from above, right? He's saving so much mats because someone who isn't necessarily aware or isn't utilizing the things that he does with the stairs would be overbuilding or running out in the open and to a point 50-50 if they get shot or not. Do you know what I mean? Like he's the place that you can always watch is ahead of you in zone, right? Especially when you're moving forward, and so you need to kind of be proactive with protecting behind you, especially when he didn't rotate as early as he usually does. Do you know what I mean? In this, he's almost at the edge of zone. Do you know what I mean? So he needs to worry more about the players behind him, especially the people with like floppers, the people who are low on mats running around looking for kills, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And so you can really see how protected he is, right? This was definitely a misplay. But even, okay, so even getting out here, right? He sees that the person is right there. He doesn't even want to 50-50 it in the sense of he doesn't want to get trapped at all here, or even if that person's not noticing him, he's placing the wall, right? So he can edit out, so he knows he can edit out as well as the stair. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So that
Yeah.
he's guaranteeing his escape, right? Same there, he placed a stair, that's why his camera went forward. Again, hits that person, values his life, making it endgame more than the kill. He boxes
Yeah.
up,
There's
he
still
doesn't
8
W key,
people there.
right? Like that's just like he hits him. This looks like a pretty prime candidate you could run over and just he would sit behind the ramp because he's obviously out of mats, you know what I mean? But he wants to be
Mhm.
protected, right? Even this is where I was talking about how his building was in terms of the non 360. Like he didn't do a 360 fully. He kind of did like a double swipe to make the box, and this is something you need to focus on as well, right? So we'll see kind
Yeah.
of how he positioned. So he looked straight, he built the wall, right? Then you can see he moves his arm to the left and then swipes fully for the 180 behind him. Or I guess that's like a
Yeah.
270, you know what I mean? And then he
Because he
instantly,
started with that front wall already.
right. But that also, the reason he didn't look down though, I'm assuming, I'm not
You're not
100%
Arkham.
sure, but I feel like I'm pretty confident in the sense of he did that so that he could place the wall, he could do the 270 to place the walls behind him, and then end with his swipe looking at the player,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
right?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, he ends on the wall that he's trying to not necessarily focus, but trying to get more information on.
Yeah, exactly. And look at the player that he just tagged, right? That's why and like, that's very subtle. Like, that's why Arkham is so good at low sense, is because do you know what I mean? Like, that's a planning thing. Like, he did that,
Yeah.
obviously,
He
he did that
developed. He did that
subconsciously,
naturally.
probably. Exactly,
Yeah,
right?
but
Like,
he
he did it
developed it over
naturally.
time.
Mm-hmm. But it's still something that he thought about, and that he
Yeah.
understands with his own sense, right?
Yeah. He didn't do it on accident. His brain, like,
Yeah. Like, he thought about that. Well, he didn't think
Mhm.
about it, but, like, his brain was like, yeah, you're doing this, right?
it thought of it for him. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
I see what you're saying.
Sorry, I just rubbed my glass against the mic. Okay,
Oh, no
so
worries.
now here, right? So, this was good for the pick. He identified this, right? But he also builds very protected going to it. Do you know what I mean? He's utilizing the stairs a lot, right? Like I said before, even here, building a stair guarantees the fact that that person can't do anything to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's looking to
Yeah.
get the loot, and that's all. Even that 360 right there, right? It was very interesting. His building looks very interesting to someone, especially with someone with higher sense, because it's not
Yeah.
fluid. It's like multiple motions. Do you know what I mean? Like, he places
And
the
it
wall.
looks to someone on high sense like choppy almost.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. Because it's usually not fluid. Like, right there was very fluid, right?
Yeah.
But okay.
It almost looked like a controller's builds.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and
Like
that's
in
because
smoothness.
that's also because of one thing that you might want to think about, and it's because I coached someone else who was struggling with this actually earlier today with his sense, was his arm control, in the sense of Arkham is very comfortable with moving his mouse and positioning his mouse at the very edge, like edge of his mouse pad. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
especially in the building, I mean, you'll even see it to a point. Like, he gets to the edge of his. Do you know what I mean? Like, did you see how many
Yeah.
times he just got to the edge of his mouse pad right there?
Like the
He's that
bottom of it.
comfortable. Yeah, exactly. Even the sides, right?
Mhm.
So that's definitely something that if you don't actively think about or necessarily have as much, especially with like your whole desk, you might want to get used to that a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Because that will
That's
help your building, especially on
that's
low
one
sense.
reason why I switched to this mouse pad too, is because like it limits me more, and that's I just recently got a bungee,
Mhm.
and like the other reason why I got a bungee too was because like when I had the full desk of mouse pad,
Right.
I would end up in the bottom right corner, literally almost going off my desk.
Mhm.
And um, when I was PGing, I would end up like in such an uncomfortable spot, but like using it because I needed it at that
Right.
moment,
Yeah.
but like ending up underneath my keyboard so far left
Mhm.
that like when I would end up going back right again, I would either like hit my keyboard or just like the amount of time I would have to take to lift my mouse up and get
Right.
it all the way back to where it was supposed to be was not necessarily even what would kill me, but like it was just not a healthy habit.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it was so far off to the side that it wasn't comfortable even moving your arm back, and because of how extreme it was, you weren't necessarily used to the range of motion of your arm. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's very obvious that Arkham is super obvious, not
Like
obvious, is
comfortable.
super comfortable, yeah, with that,
Yeah.
like, range of motion. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Uh
he,
huh.
even on the edge, like, I'll show you another example because there's one thing that I highlighted for the other player, and I'll show you, you'll see it later, right? But in terms of his aim,
Yeah.
like, he's very comfortable aiming on all corners of his mouse pad, and that helps with low sense, too.
Okay.
So, okay, I want to focus a bit, though, on his priority here, because we're focusing on his game knowledge, right? There's obviously a lot mechanically that we could talk about with his low sense, but I want to focus on the gameplay,
Yeah.
on his game decision making.
That kind of stuff will just come to me like over time, and as I pay more attention to this kind of stuff, like you're pointing out,
Yeah,
it's helping me.
yeah, for sure.
I need to start watching hand cams a lot more, especially is what I'm realizing.
Mm-hmm.
I get too focused on the gameplay just because it's intriguing
Right.
sometimes even.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And there's like obviously a lot of research you can do in terms of even like how you're sitting maybe to help you potentially. Like, I don't know if you sit with your elbow on your desk or not, but that could be something that, like, when I showed the
Oof.
other student that, he was like, oh wow, that helps a lot because it acts as like a pivot. Do you know what I mean? It acts as a
Oh,
part where
okay.
you can kind of use your arm because of that, and you're sitting more forward, so you feel like you have more control. That's personal preference, obviously, but
Yeah.
like something to think
It's funny you
about.
mention that because there's like a video I saw yesterday, and I skipped over it, and I'm gonna go back and watch it
Mhm.
like later tonight when I get in bed. But it was exactly what you just mentioned, like even how sitting in your chair can affect it. I was like, huh, that's stupid. What the fuck? But
Yeah.
like obviously, like that video had lots of views, and like I should definitely take it into consideration.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, it's all to a point personal preference and what you're comfortable with, but it's never necessarily bad to look to improve
Yeah.
your, you know what I mean?
Sometimes your comfort zone can be what's holding you back from certain things.
Yeah, for sure. But okay, we're kind of getting off topic to a point, but it's good and you're still learning a lot of things, and I feel like you can implement that especially into your own gameplay as well. But I want to talk a bit about his decision making, right? So, okay, so he's got good maths. He
Okay.
is thinking to him again. I don't necessarily know this, but the reason he plays like this, like what he does next, kind of gives it away. He knows he has a lot of mats for this stage of the end game, right? There's
Mhm.
14 people alive, It's a very hilly transition-y endgame as well, so high ground is generally a good thing to look for. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a lot
Yeah.
easier to hold, especially when zone pulls up a mountain. So he's identifying that, and you can see because he goes up early, right? He goes up right here because he knows he doesn't want to be on the ground, especially on an endgame like this, right? So
Yeah.
okay, now he's looking to pressure high ground, right? He's editing on a good angle that's towards zone, so he doesn't have to worry
Away
about
from
what's
the
ahead of
enemy
him.
that's right underneath him too. That's
Mm-hmm.
good.
And he's looking high ground. He's like, okay, what's high ground? This looks really free. Do you know what I mean? These players are obviously not too sure what they do. Um, Obviously he gets the kill on one, so it's even better, right? And then he's instantly looking at zone two. He recognizes it goes up a mountain.
That's such a smooth transition. He just
Right, it was so instant for him because
yeah.
he's so used to that. You know what I mean? And even me personally, I look at like I instantly look at zone now after seeing Arkham do it because I can tell that he's doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like he's basing his next decision off of that right here, right? And even the way he's saving mats, this is like a really meticulous
That's
thing,
smart tunnel upwards
right?
that you just did.
You can tell how much he wants to save mats. Like he is using the bare minimum in terms of even
Literally-
protecting himself.
Literally 3 pieces right there. That
Yeah.
was
Right? Contests
Totally
high
protected.
ground, gets the
Wow.
good damage off, even doesn't even go for the AR, and now he's wanting to early rotate. He wants to make sure that he can hold high zone, or sorry, high
just-
ground by rotating early into the zone and connecting, right?
Yeah, he literally just got it with like only using what was left of his brick. That was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's tarped up on like he's connected to the ground in 3 spots, 2
Yeah.
of them with metal. That's
Yeah.
insane.
And he's
Shit
in
I
a
would
really
not
good
have
spot, right?
anticipated.
And he'll recognize that zone goes up even more. Like he's obviously looking for a lot of kills. Again, I'm not too sure, but I'm assuming it's because of the transition right here. Do you know what I mean? When people kind of come up like a transition like this, there's a lot of players to a point running around right here,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of going up a hill. It's kind of hectic, stuff like that, right? So that's why he stays above them looking for the kills. This is obviously good. He's looking to pressure all the players that he can see, stuff like that, right? Be able to get the kills, it's good. He goes a bit ahead of zone, and he's kind of in his head, he's like, okay, zone is going up the hill, again, connect, right? He could be looking for kills here. Like, he really could, and other players might. Right here, they're above them, he's looking for the kills. There's 5 players left, you know what I mean? You don't necessarily need to do this. It just shows how much he values his positioning. He
Yeah.
doesn't want to lose it no matter what. He doesn't even want to dice roll the fact that he could probably kill all these people if he was right above them, right? It wouldn't have mattered, but he's still positioned around it, you know what I mean? Even here, like he literally like, it's just, you can tell his priorities are so
Power
ingrained
remote.
in his decision making that it's just like,
Yeah.
it really shows
And
how
he-
refined it is.
He knows both of them are stuck in zone. Like they probably don't have the mats to get up. They're
Mhm.
panicking.
Exactly.
He's still just holding it. He's not
Finally
dropping
won
down to
again.
get the kills.
Yeah.
But
And
he
so-
put himself in the position to guarantee himself the win and those kills.
Mm-hmm.
Yo.
'Cause I just
Exactly.
noticed
I won
he
again.
oh is this okay, yeah, he literally only got so the placement like for this he didn't get anything for like he already had all his placement points besides winning, so he was just like
Right.
focused on that as opposed to like throwing away his game over one possible kill.
Do you mean in terms of like how he's playing this, like, do you know what I mean, like
No,
this
like
part?
before he even got to like that mountain, like not W keying that kid he just broke shield on, or
Right.
W keying the kid he hit white, like
Mhm.
even before he, um, like that kid he tagged white, he didn't like move at all until he saw the next zone, and even then he didn't until it was like until he basically already had the win. And in
Right.
my head, if I was him right there at that moment, it's like, okay, they're both stuck down there. They're still in zone. This
Mhm.
isn't even a heal off at this point. I still have 6 floppers.
Right.
To me, it's insane that like he has 6 flop. Like that's one thing I noticed is like when I do have floppers, I get a little too comfortable with taking that storm damage and
Yeah,
taking fights and
exactly.
storms.
Mhm.
And
that's
he doesn't care. Like he doesn't care
exactly
if he has 6 floppers.
right. And he's good at recognizing the situation. Like he leaves himself the floppers. The reason he kept them is so he has the opportunity to potentially use them, right? If he was maybe low on mats, he would be looking to use them more. But because he got the refresh as well as holding high, even without the
Yeah.
refresh, I still think he has something like, okay, maybe he's really low on metal right here, right? But
Mm.
he could have earlier, right? If he didn't get that other refresh, he would have gone for the person he kills right here, right? And he would have been
Yeah.
going in zone because he knows he has the flopper as freedom, right? He would have gone for this person that he kills beside him if he didn't have the mats from before, right?
That guy's mats right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's only like 2 ramps up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, see, like one thing, like for me is with those with that amount of floppers, like
You're looking to
not even
abuse them and you feel like you need to use them.
I abuse them exactly.
Right.
But I've never thought of it as an abuse until like us breaking down this game right here.
Mm-hmm.
To me,
Because,
it was more of like a comfort blanket
yeah.
having those floppers. Like, okay, fuck yeah, I can like maybe take some sneaky storm damage and pull up behind a couple free kills for a refresh.
Mm-hmm.
But it never turns into that. It always turns into like, yeah, I get the kill, I get the refresh, but now I'm being focused and still held in zone.
Exactly.
And I end up that kid to the bottom left of Arkham when he's like if you fast forward like the 10 seconds or whatever, like yeah, like right here I end up the kid to the left of him right now.
Right, who's already
one.
still in zone.
Wait, not him,
But the other
but
one.
the other one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
end
In
up-
that.
I end up that guy, and
Right.
then I like yeah I have the floppers and yeah I got the
How
refresh
is it
of
not
mats, but now look I just got all my shield tagged off,
Mm-hmm.
and like, I'm eating the floppers right now as we speak,
Mm-hmm.
but the zone just pulls and pulls and pulls, and I can't get up because all the focus is on me.
Yeah.
I always end up that kid instead of Arkham.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I need to put myself in Arkham's shoes more often, or
And
in
it's
his position.
mm-hmm. And it's because it's like the when
He's not using him as a tool. He's using him as like
an opportunity.
yeah.
That sounds weird to describe, but the same way that a sniper gives you opportunities, the same way that an
Mhm.
RPG gives you opportunities. Do you know what I mean? Same way that nades give you, like, that's what all of this is to Arkham, and that's what all this is to a lot of other good players too. It's a secondary, and it's a for you, like, you use it more of I don't know if it's necessarily a comfort blanket, but in my opinion it's more of a crutch in the sense
Yeah.
of you don't need to
Yeah.
focus as much on your positioning and end zone because you have the floppers, right? Whereas
Man,
Arkham
I
is still
shouldn't
always
like that.
thinking about that. Do you know what I mean?
That's so good.
He's just
That
giving
is
himself the opportunity to be able to use them because let's say he doesn't get 2 of those kills either. Well, now he's going to be using the floppers, right? Especially 6 of them.
Mhm.
Obviously, like you said, he could be put in a situation where he could get focused because of it. But if that's the only alternative is to use his floppers, then he's obviously going to use them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the same thing that nades gives you. That's the same thing that snipers gives you. RPG, P90. That sounds weird, like P90. AUG. These things give you opportunities to okay, with an AUG you can triple burst somebody, you win the fight, you gain an advantage before it even starts. Do you know what I mean? You have 3 tags,
Yeah.
you're in a really good spot, right? In your P90, let's say you, especially in endgame, you laser someone, it's really hard to open up on a P90. Do you know what I mean? If you play smart and hold your P90 out pressuring, you can get damage through, hitting them for whites or even 40 headshot, right? It's like it gives you the opportunity to be able to abuse someone. If you get a snipe,
Yeah.
you get a headshot, you end the fight
Punish
before it
them,
even
like you said.
starts. Maybe you snipe somebody half in, half out, rotate to their thing, blah blah blah. You use an RPG, you can RPG boxes or walls and time it with your pump to get guaranteed damage through. You can look high ground, you know what I mean? RPG has a lot of flexibility. Nades, obviously, you can nade someone, especially in solos, they might not expect it. You can get 2 nades in their box, they die, they're dead before the fight even starts. Do you know what I mean? Like, these
Bro,
are all
you
opportunities.
literally like freaking expanded like my train of thought even
Okay.
just without me even having to watch my own gameplay. Like
Mhm.
that's so insane to me. Like
No,
how
and
much I've
that's yeah,
learned
that's
just
definitely like that's one thing that I didn't think like that at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Like it was
Mhm.
just like I was just like, oh, a sniper is stupid. A sniper is like even at the beginning I was like, I never want to pick sniper up because I feel like it's just RNG if I can give it or blah blah blah, right? But then through just like VOD viewing and just playing and experiencing the game myself, I mean, a sniper alone, let alone all these other utility items. I call them utility items, but like
Yeah,
obviously a P90 is a weapon, but it's still a utility item because of the
because of
secondary
what
ways
it
you
can
can use
do,
it.
the power it has.
Exactly. And like even Booga, like if he has a P90, he's abusing the fuck out of it. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
he is
the
P90ing
fire
everybody.
the fire rate, and especially Arkham being on zero ping, or anybody for that matter
Mhm.
being on zero ping, you're gonna get those bullets through the wall.
Exactly.
Like,
And
doesn't matter how fast, even if the other player is on zero ping, like
mhm.
the fire rate of it's just
You know, it's very
so,
strong.
yeah.
And that's why
And
like
a
even
40
with
damage
the
headshot is basically half of someone, a quarter of someone's health, even if they're at 200.
exactly. And it's really strong because of that, right? And like I
Yeah.
said in the example with the sniper as well, obviously a headshot, even a body shot, giving yourself an advantage before a fight starts or ending it before it even starts is good, but you can use it even different ways. Do you know what I mean? The same way that you can use a P90 to pressure someone really hard and take high off of that potentially, right? Or you can melt through a
Hmm.
bunch of builds and knock them down. It's a utility thing. See what I mean? With a sniper, you can use it almost as a pressure, right? Who's really gonna peek someone who's, and this is gonna seem kind of odd, but who's blatantly wanting to 50-50 snipe? Do you know, like think about it in game? You're half in, half out. You're in zone. You pulled zone. Somebody is
Hmm.
like 50 meters away, and they're doing that thing where they're scoping because you can tell their movement is slow while looking at
Yeah.
you. Are you going to edit on
Oh,
that person?
oh fuck no.
Exactly, right?
Their crosshair's already on my head.
And you don't even want to. You're like, okay, well, I'm probably not gonna kill this person. I'm gonna get a couple tags, and he has a chance of ending my game right now, right?
Yeah.
That's a
By the
pressure
time I
thing.
get those two tags, I'm dead.
Exactly.
Possibility of, especially in like, uh,
Tournament or
uh,
something where you don't even want to give yourself the chance for that.
yeah, because again, is like one of my issues is like underestimating the player, but the reason why is because like I don't ever like, I think my highest point game this season for Cash Cup wise is like 56, and by the time I did get
Right.
to 56, I had 5 games left, and I threw the rest of the 5 games because I was underestimating the people I was going up against,
Mhm.
and not like thinking like, oh shit, like I'm in better lobbies now. I need to like focus up and actually play smart
Right.
going forward. Like I probably could have made money that day, like had I
Yeah, definitely
known what I know
56 going in the
now,
last 5. Mhm.
and like not because like I still treated the next like 5 games like I was in a W key lobby,
Mhm.
or like in a low point first game lobby. Like I but like I wouldn't even have thought of that until like now.
Yeah, that was definitely something that took me a long time to develop because and this is something that
Overconfidence for me.
I guess that, but in terms
For
of
my situation.
right, right. No, and that's something that I had to work through as well though. Like as well I was a lot less confident in myself, especially um like during World Cup I was a baller. Do you know what I mean? So like even my mentality of like thinking of myself, and maybe you do this too. Um, a lot of players do this. It's a bad thing, especially in a BR game where confidence matters a lot, and I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
Even this, in a lot of situations, having confidence puts you in a good spot, even if you're worse than the player. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
having the confidence can.
kind of give you your
Yeah.
leg up.
Mhm.
And that affects you. Well, I guess I didn't say what affected me. Was thinking that I was bad at fighting. Do you know what I mean? Or like thinking
Yeah.
that hey, because I vaudevilled a lot back then, but I wasn't really that good at fighting. Like I hadn't developed my build fighting and my box fighting and even just my control and watching like what players are doing and what they're actually doing and looking at, right? Compared to what I have now. And so that mentality held me back a lot. Because even when I was making progress, right, it still is like it's like a it's like a chain ball wrapped around your leg.
Yeah.
You're getting stronger, you can move the ball more, but it's still there. Do you know what I mean? It's like holding you back a bit, right? So try not to get too much into that negative mindset and um, think too much like that. Like, obviously
Well,
you
for
don't
me,
want to
I was
be. Sorry, go ahead.
sorry for interrupting.
No, it's fine.
But for me, I was like referring more of like too much confidence.
Okay.
Like put like
Like you're
putting myself in a
oh,
position like I could conquer the world without having the positioning, without having the like my like
like
wanting
the
to
other players were
do
bad and
something
you didn't need to necessarily try as
even
much versus them.
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and not even think like about the fight.
Yeah.
Just handle it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just just click heads as like someone like Daquans would say, but like
Okay.
literally like um looking back at like my highest point game is like once I did play those handful of good games,
Mhm.
uh I play like I didn't play the rest of the five like I was in a tournament even anymore. I was like, this is pubs, like,
Right.
and like pushed everything, and like when put in a bad position, didn't do anything to get myself out of or do anything smart to overcome the bad position that I was put
Mhm.
in a sense.
No, for sure. That makes sense.
I was just like, oh
Um
fuck it, yeah, I just got beamed, but like I'm just gonna W key anyways and 50-50 this fight.
right. And yeah, I mean
We're coming
that's
we're
kind
coming
of
towards the end of our session, aren't we? Oh shit.
yeah, we are. No, it's fine. I was watching it. I don't feel I don't worry about the time unless I feel like I've explained what the student wants to work on properly. Do you know what I mean? Like
Okay.
if I myself was getting coaching, I would feel very annoyed because do you think like even thinking about it, like that's why I was kind of worried, not necessarily worried at the beginning, but didn't want to go too in depth at the beginning, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like for the
We were
timing,
trying
like
to
if
cover
I would have
everything.
ended it, right, it would have like I would have ended it like halfway through the Arkham bot or something like that, and I'm not gonna do
Yeah.
that. So, but anyways, I hope it was good. I did
Dude, it
record it
was
as
more than
well,
good.
so I'm gonna upload it and then I guess I'll send you the link maybe like tomorrow or by the end of today. Do you want it
Yeah,
tonight?
thank you. It doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter. Thank you so much. Like,
Okay.
or I mean, I'm